Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 Career Mode, episode number 129 today for the Chinese Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous one then, at the Bahrain Grand Prix, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. That last episode, a very good one for our team, Alfa Romeo Sauber here, at the start of this season. Obviously, it's very early days, but you always want to get off to a good mark there. But at the moment, it looks like Leclerc has the better of me. He's feeling quite comfortable in the car. But we come into Shanghai then with two upgrades to the car, two minor engine upgrades, engine power and fuel consumption, and you can see on the performance chart that's going to take us just over Red Bull Racing Honda now in second place on paper by literally a pixel there. You can see pretty much we're overlapping, but we are just about ahead of Red Bull. And coming into this race, looks like Toro Rosso, the only other team apart from Mercedes that make really any big strides. Looks like Toro Rosso, that might be two minors as well for them, or one major, and then for Mercedes, I think that's probably just one minor upgrade to try and keep ahead of McLaren in the midfield. But for us, now, last episode, when we purchased these, we actually noticed that purchasing these last two minor upgrades, the engine power and the fuel consumption, that was all that was left to be upgraded performance-wise on this car. Yes, we have got a maximized Sauber car in career mode. The only thing we have to upgrade now is reliability. 3 small reliability upgrades, and that is it. The entire tree will be colored in, apart from some efficiencies on departments, but the actual upgrades themselves, right now, performance-wise, all colored in. The entire engine side, the entire chassis side, and the entire aero side. Absolutely crazy. Of course, going from Season 6 to Season 7, we did not have a rule regulation change, and so pretty much everything stayed put from what the AI team did last season. So when I came to the team, there was only engine upgrades to make. They had already completed chassis, they had already completed aero, and because there were only minor upgrades left to do on the engine side of things, I've been able to earn enough R&D points in 2 episodes' time to complete those minor upgrades, because of course, you can see, if you look closer, Sauber have got all the efficiencies, pretty much the entire engine side, most of the chassis and the aero as well, but the entire engine side has all the efficiency, so it means we get the cheapest possible parts on the engine side, and they also have a very little chance of failing, so we've got all 4 parts remaining to do in 2 episodes time. So we have got a maxed out now Alfa Romeo Sauber car. That is pretty damn cool, because we've never actually got a maximized car. I've got close to maxing my cars out, like Red Bull, we were getting close last season. I'm pretty sure they might have maxed out now as an AI team, but we got closer to maxing them out as an AI team. I think we got close to, I want to say a Haas, we got close, quite close in Season 2. Might have been maybe half a season more away from maxing that out car. But now we have literally got a maxed out car in career mode, and not just for like a 1 million R&D experiment video. We've actually done it naturally in a career mode scenario. That's pretty cool to me. And I know a few of you guys have been wanting me to take some sort of team right to maximum they can get, but it's still not enough, because if you look back at the performance chart, we've maximized the car, and Renault, who I'm pretty sure have also maxed out their car because they're plateauing. They've made no upgrades so far. I think they've reached the maximum. They are better than us still on paper now. So it's interesting to see that Renault appear to have a higher potential than Alfa Romeo Sauber, which makes sense. Renault are a factory team, so you would kind of think that. But that's unfortunate for us in a way, because now, for the remainder of the season, obviously we'll be saving points for the rule regulation reset that will inevitably come now in Season 7, because I think it'd be pretty bonkers not to have a reset rule from Season 7 to Season 8. But for us now, it's a case of now going from race to race and just hoping that our car suits each track. And if it doesn't, we'll be doing a little bit poorly compared to Renault and Red Bull, I guess, and the other cars around us. If it suits our car, hopefully we'll be able to bridge that gap on paper to Renault and take the fight for race wins, just like at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Clearly, obviously, Leclerc got lucky, but he still had the pace to be there at the right time to get that race win, and we almost nearly matched him for the 1-2 in the end, with Verstappen overtaking us. So it is going to be a case of, like real life, there will be circuits that suit certain cars better, and so we might have to just wait around for that. We might have to actually take a bit of a leaf out of the real life Grand Prix season and kind of remember where Sauber are strong at, and maybe kind of hope for those kind of races in real life that we can maybe go for the race win versus Renault and Red Bull. But for now, we just get going then and try and do the best job we can with a maximised Alfa Romeo Sauber car. So we move into Q1 then. At the moment, Carlos Sainz setting the provisional best lap time there. Obviously, it was a not too amazing time for him last episode. It wasn't a great time for Renault as a whole, obviously, with Fernando Alonso, who did take the lead after Gasly DNF'd, but then swiftly after, within half a lap, he DNF'd. So I remember one comment was saying someone was really happy about Alonso getting the race lead after being gifted it, and then straight away Alonso just gets some, well, fantastically Fernando Alonso-like luck, and then DNF straight away as well. But anyway, it's looking like a strong one for them. Alonso topping the session, Carlos Sainz in P5 though, so he's a little bit down on his teammate there. You can see myself, I've matched Leclerc quite well in Q1, both of us in the top 10, so at least that bodes well for us. We're a little bit down in Q1, but really Q1 doesn't mean too much in the end of it, so I'm not too worried about that. But at least I did match my teammate here. But we go into Q2 then. China, always difficult. The AI are very weird around China. I think a lot of people, if you watch other career modes as well, you can kind of agree with that. Especially in simulation times with qualifying, China is a very weird one. The AI goes stupidly fast if you simulate the session and fast forward any bit. So at the moment we're on our first flying lap at the very beginning of this session, just trying to do the best job we can at the moment. A little bit of understeer in sector 2, but I didn't want to compromise too much in the aero because obviously we have that long back straight. And so we finished our lap. I thought it was a pretty decent time. As we go through this session, we're down in P7. We've got 2.5 minutes left, so I have enough time to go out right now. But I was still not sure, you know, if I can save tyres, I'd rather would save tyres, because then we can, you know, maybe use them later in Q3 and also for the race, potentially just having fresher tyres might be an aid. But at this point then, as we tick over down to 2 minutes, that was getting very close, and now pretty much it is too late to go out then, and so I couldn't go out. But I wasn't worried at the time because I was in P7, I was all fine. So by the time we go back to the screen then, we've dropped down to P9 as some people set their faster times, but P9's still fine, gets in the top 10. But with 10 seconds to go, you can guess what I'm going to say. Unfortunately, just like Bahrain, the exact same thing's going to happen here. We're going to go to black, we're going to fade into black, fade out of black to the loading screen for the timings, and surprise, surprise, in a split second I've gone down from P9 to P13. Actually very odd, it's actually exactly P13 again, but there you go. So really unfortunate, for the second time in a row we're knocked out in Q2 and do not make it into the top 10 shootout. Unfortunately, that will mean that Q3 times will be glitched, as they always do when you don't make it in with a simulation from Season 1 performance. So surprise, surprise, I wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton is on pole position, but that's unfortunate. I was only maybe a 10th or 2 away from getting in, so in hindsight I should have gone out for a second lap a lot earlier. Well, obviously you can say a lot of stuff in hindsight. I wanted to try and save tyres, but it just didn't work out. Sometimes that happens in F1, you get it wrong sometimes, the calculation, so you're gonna have to live with it. For China though, in a way, getting knocked out in Q2 still does work, because this now really opens up a much better one stop, because we can choose our tyre compound and we can go to the soft tyre at the very beginning. So this is not end of story actually. This actually might work out better for us, you never know. So let's go to the grid then and see how we do.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. It's where Lewis Hamilton effectively lost the title in his rookie year, and it's where Nico Rosberg claimed Mercedes' first win of the modern era in 2012. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before the braking zone of turn 14. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about the engineer. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast, so they'll be disappointed, won't they?
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
So now let's have a look at the starting grid ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix, round number 3 of Season 7 of my F1 2018 career mode. On pole position then, it's Lewis Hamilton in the Silver Arrow alongside the Red Bull Honda car of Pierre Gasly. The second row is all Renault, Fernando Alonso alongside Carlos Sainz for 3rd and 4th. Dan Ricciardo in the McLaren in P5 with Sergio Perez in P6. Bottas and Ocon next with Leclerc and Hartley rounding out the top 10. Van Dorn and myself with Verstappen with the penalty down to P13. Romain Grosjean P14. Then Magnussen and Hulkenberg come on the next row. Raikkonen P17, Sergei Sorokin in 18th, Lance Stroll 19th, and Sebastian Vettel a very disappointing last place on the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix. So we move up one position thanks to Verstappen having an engine penalty, so at least one other person is with us from the top teams there, and he's also going to have to start on hard soft tyres, but you can see we have a free choice, and so we're going to start by default on the softs. We're going to stick with that strategy and do a very easy one-stop. It's usually quite a tricky one-stop from ultras to mediums. You do have to take care of your tyres quite a fair bit in the first stint, but now that we can start on softs, it won't be too much of an issue. I mean, there will still be some tyre wear to contend with, and the pace difference will be there for the two stoppers, but it won't be as difficult as it would have been on our soft tyres. So here we go then to 5 red lights to round number 3 of the season. Once again, having to make a comeback of some sorts. 4 red lights are out, and we're underway from P12 on the grid. It's a bit of a slow getaway, to be honest, as Verstappen is able to out-traction us on the faster soft tyres, but around the outside, can we go and feed it round and re-overtake him and maybe even get the Toro Rosso and McLaren as they fight? Leclerc is actually only just ahead of us then, so very odd actually. He got into the top 10 shootout, and he's only just ahead by 1 or 2 cars as he's side by side with Ocon then. Ocon just about hanging on there and keeping some sort of nose alongside him. And then you've got the 2 Force Indies scrapping away of Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas there. Leclerc still on the outside and left, Ocon on the right. You've got the 2 Renaults going side by side, Alonso and Carlos Sainz fighting hard for P3 and P4. As at the moment, Gasly's in P2 and Hamilton from pole position. That still leads the way, of course, unfortunately, due to that Q3 sort of glitch. But the 2 Force Indies having a mega scrap there as Bottas keeps it to the inside and is still trying to fight his new teammate there in the Force India team. And then you've got the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo chasing after the 2 Renaults then. The 2 Force Indies still neck and neck, still at it. Leclerc's actually in the meanwhile overtaken Ocon there, so at least that's good for him and the team. But down this back straight now, is there going to be a chance for some overtakes here? Not just for the Force India, not for just Leclerc and myself, but maybe even the Red Bull there in the foreground. You can see Gasly as we cut onto him around the outside of Lewis Hamilton for the race lead. Remember, this will be on the left-hand side. Hamilton squeezed him as hard as he could, but not enough as Gasly gets it to the inside of the last corner. It's going to be a great overtake there. He really had to make it work, get the elbows out, and he's up into first place. And now he's slowed down Hamilton to the point where that Renault is right up his gearbox there of Fernando Alonso. So will Alonso be able to overtake him? Not quite on lap 2, but soon enough I suspect that will be an overtake that's made, as these two, my God, they're still side by side. Bottas and Perez going on now for a whole lap this is, and now Leclerc and Ocon are at it again. Ocon able to send one to the inside, it seems, into turn 1, and he's going to try and re-overtake Leclerc. And meanwhile, I just haven't been able to do anything so far because I've had no room to work with so far. But now Ocon, they make some contact, Ocon with Leclerc, and so now will this allow us to make a move here as Leclerc has gone wide, he's gone the curbing, we get the traction down on the outside, he's got the better inside line, we go really wide with some dirty air. We're going to cut back in though, and this time Leclerc will be on the inside line and he'll have the less momentum, and so we're going to be the inside for the next double left-hander there. We're going to be side by side, we'll squeeze them out though very aggressively on the curbing. Sorry mate, we've got to do that. I know you're my teammate, but I'm trying to get the better of you because I'm on a different strategy as well, remember, and I do feel like I have some better pace at the moment because the ultra soft tyres go out really fast. Even lap 2, these guys will be feeling the tyre wear, so I should have better pace pretty soon actually compared to these guys, I would say. So we go through the last corner then on towards the end of lap 2, onto lap 3, and we're right up the chuff of Ocon, but he's got better ideas. He's going to go for a move on the Force India car on the outside. Those two dueling, Bottas and Ocon there, the 2 guys who've made swaps to different teams for this season. Bottas is actually jockeying for position quite well. I was about to say Bottas is going to get squeezed out there, but Bottas is doing really well to defend the position. He couldn't quite do it on his teammate, but he's going to try his best on Ocon if he can. But it looks like the Toro Rosso Honda has a bit too much pace. He's able to swing through on the racing line and cut across him there, and we're going to have to wait patiently onto the main back straight. We'll have DRS here, rich mix, overtake mode, and so this should be a pretty simple pass on the Force India car. Remember, our car technically now has the best engine on the grid in terms of pure power, fuel efficiency, and also ERS after the upgrades we've made, so not surprised we were able to waltz past him. Of course, though, aero does play a factor, but up into P8 then, and we'll try and close up on Ocon, who really is the man on the move at the moment in the Toro Rosso car. He goes for another move on the second Force India then of Sergio Perez on the outside for the hairpin. Those guys will jostle the position again, and it looks like Perez now is going to actually come in to the pits then for an early stop, and he really slows up Ocon, so much so that I almost slammed the back of him, and we had to kind of lift off the throttle and get out of that, otherwise it would have broken my front wing on that. So the 2 former teammates then really going at it, but he comes in eventually, Ocon does, on lap 5, so we continue on. Remember, we're the only guy on soft tyres in that kind of fight, basically, that pack. All of those guys were on soft tyres. So now we go through into P2. Gasly is the only guy remaining to pit, and then the guys behind us is Van Dorn. He's also on soft tyres. So here we go, across the line, lap 7, and we're up into P1, and the race lead of the Grand Prix. So now we just go as long as we can and kind of dare on these soft tyres before going to mediums, because the mediums aren't the best race tyre around Shanghai, so you want to try and avoid being on them for too long there. Second place man is Van Dorn, and then also I think that's Nico Hülkenberg in third place in the Mercedes car. Both of those guys also on soft tyres trying the one stop, as well as this man Brendan Hartley in P4. The McLaren is also the fourth remaining one stopper in this race, starting on soft tyres. Then you've got Gasly, Alonso, then the two Haas cars are also trying a one stop, Raikkonen, and then you've got Carlos Sainz. You can see how the two stoppers are kind of spread out, they're kind of interspersed in between all these one stoppers here, so a bit of traffic for the likes of Sainz to contend with. And meanwhile, as we scroll back through, really, it's going to take us a long while to actually find them. That's Esteban Ocon, there is Max Verstappen, and also Leclerc in the background there. So Leclerc, my teammates, lost a lot of time there in the traffic, fighting the Force Indy car, fighting with Verstappen, the Toro Rosso, and also just generally the two-stop here. So he's a long way back, so we'll have to see how he goes. The race winner of last time might not have such a good time here at Shanghai. Meanwhile, though, we've got Gasly making the overtake on Nico Hülkenberg. This is up into P3. Remember, he's already made his first stop. He's on a two-stop, and he's coming for us, but he has to make one more stop, as do we. So it'll be quite good for us if Van Dorn can hold him up somewhat, but I doubt that will be the case, as now we move later on. Van Dorn a sitting duck on the main straight. Gasly waltzes by. He's up into P2 now and has clean air to try and chase after to myself. Van Dorn down to P3. And meanwhile, you've got Fernando Alonso right on the back then of the Mercedes car, I think that is. And so once again, actually quite weird to note that, again, Alonso and Gasly appear to be the top guys in Renault and Red Bull going for the top spots here, which is surprising because, of course, the last two seasons, Carlos Sainz has been the main guy at Renault in the title fight, as has Verstappen, really, for Red Bull Racing. Obviously, he was the main kind of protagonist for us in Season 6, so kind of odd to see how Alonso and Gasly, the two new faces in those teams, are the ones going for the top positions there, as Alonso gets past Hülkenberg, and he's up into now what will be P4, I believe, as Van Dorn is still there in P3, but now you can see Gasly P2 is closing up. We've not had amazing pace on these soft tyres. Of course, these guys are on much fresher softs, and I'm trying to protect these tyres as much as I can. So as we move on to lap 12, Gasly is well within 1 second of us, and we're not going any faster on the top right there with our delta time from our previous personal best. And you can see the amount of understeer I'm getting into the next right-hander, and Gasly is all over the back of me on the proximity arrow, and also you can see on the left mirror there, his car is placed there. He's going to be right on my gearbox. He gets good traction here. He might have a go on the outside. We're going to go defensive to the inside line at the end of sector 1, but he makes a really good dive bomb there. We lock up a little bit on the right tire. That's not going to help us on the entry or exit of the corner, and Gasly gets just much better traction, really. There's no other way to put it, and he just outpowers us then with the Honda power unit as well, and he's up into first place there. So we're down to second. I think to be very tall order to chase after Gasly and keep him at bay. And so as we move on to lap 13, that is exactly the case, because now Alonso is the one chasing after us. He's down the inside of us, so he's already overtaking Van Dorn. He's now trying to overtake me. We're going to have a little bit of a jostle with him, a little bit of contact made with Alonso, my old teammate and nemesis from Season 3. Remember, we scrapped away for the title in Season 3, so no love lost there between myself and Alonso. And we're actually going to come back at him. Despite him overtaking us, we have the DRS now, so it actually helped out to be behind him at the detection point. So we're going to get back up into P2, but Gasly has waltzed away, and so I think we've already kissed away the race win, to be honest, because Gasly, obviously, he's got one pit stop, I've got one more pit stop, so he's going to still be ahead of us then once we make that. And I think, unfortunately, it's only a matter of time before Fernando Alonso overtakes us. He's got so much better pace here, and so on the main straight, he's going to have DRS this time on lap 14. We'll look behind us, but we're going to be a bit of a sitting duck now. He's got DRS, probably overtake mode, you would say, Rich Mix as well, so he sparks away. Actually, for once, I'm not the one sparking a lot. The AI are sparking way more on the back straight there, and so Alonso gets up into P2. We're down to P3, slot in. Sainz in P4 though, and there's a bit of a gap on the minimap to Sainz, so I'm actually quite confident we could maybe still go for the podium perhaps. We'll have to see, but for now, actually, we still close up to Alonso, and he's actually been quite slow through the last corner, so we've actually got a very good run. Remember, we've got a better engine than him, actually, technically, so we actually make a move to the inside there, and we actually come back at him there, so we are putting up a pretty big fight on Alonso here, and so for now, we're actually back up into P2 of the Grand Prix. I genuinely did not think we were going to make that, but there you go. Alonso very slow in the last corner, and so that's what we get. We're going to go defensive once again and do some good work on the racing line to keep him at bay. So for now, could the dream still be there to maybe get P2 minimum? It's going to be a tall order, and the longer we alter the fight, the quicker that Carlos Sainz is going to catch up to us there in the background shot. But Alonso gets some disgustingly good traction there on the outside line. We go so close to him, toe-to-toe now in the long right-hander, inches inches away from having a crash there. That could have been quite fatal of the front right tyre, but we still maintain the position and have P2 for now. But Alonso is going to get, again, more good traction there. He's in the mirror. We're going to go defensive to the inside there. He's on the outside. We try and break as late as we can, but it's a big lock up on the front left. And in the end, we're just going to have to let him go, to be honest. There's no point fighting him that hard because now Sainz is right behind us. And so, like I said, the more we fight him, just the worse it is for us, really, because Sainz will now close up. And now, as we move on to lap 16, he's going to do just that. And so the Spaniard, the man who will be fought in the championship so many times now, the last few seasons, is going to be right on the right-hand side of us. He's going to fly past us there with DRS. We actually try and squeeze him a little bit. We're still kind of side by side with him. We try and outbrake him the best we can on the outside of the hairpin, try and cut in a little bit tighter. Then we get a bit of a switchback going, a little bit of oversteer though. And so Sainz is going to maintain that P3. We're actually going to both come in now for our pit stops there. We get it a little bit hot, so we almost slam to the back of him there. And thankfully there's no gravel on the right, but we both come in now for our pit stop for the end of the Grand Prix then. So you can see how much the one stop does help us out though. You know, we're down P13. We were, you know, only around P6, and we're now right by, you know, Carlos Sainz now because we're making one less stop. And we make the actually same pit stop for the second one for his. So, you know, that's how good the one stop can be around Shanghai in terms of closing us up, just like we had at Bahrain, obviously. And so now we come out of the pit lane then on medium tyres. Going to be quite close, actually, to one Nico Hülkenberg there. You can't see him quite yet. There he is. He comes out just ahead of us, actually. So he's jumped us there. He's on a one-stop as well, remember. So he's actually made a really good undercut work. So we have to try and duel him a little bit as we go wide on purpose. Try and cut in a little bit earlier. Straighten the car faster. And that's a really nice switchback move on him to get back up into P6. This will be Carlos Sainz P5. There's Van Dorn ahead of Sainz for now. So Van Dorn's done quite well. He's undercut us just like Hülkenberg tried to do, and so eventually Sainz will overtake him, and so it'll be our turn to do so with 5 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. DRS wide open, we close up with the slipstream, and it's a pretty simple move to the right, cut back into the racing line, and we're up into P4. So the podium, I don't think it's going to be on for us anymore as Pierre Gasly sets the boss up the Grand Prix. He's actually the race leader at the moment. Second place Alonso, third place Carlos Sainz then. But meanwhile behind us, this is Van Dorn now versus Verstappen, who's coming back in this Grand Prix. Then he's not got enough speed to make an overtake quite there, and actually made some contact with Van Dorn there. And I think if you look close enough on that right hand side of the front wing, I think he's got some damage, because now later in the Grand Prix, the closing stages, this is Nico Hülkenberg in the Mercedes car, comes back at Verstappen and re-overtakes him, because remember, Verstappen was behind Hülkenberg, because Hülkenberg was directly behind us, but then Verstappen overtook him, but then with the damage he's got off the Toro Rosso car, he's now been re-overtaken by the German, and so he's doing really well. He's actually locked up, Verstappen has, and so that's going to be quite a big contrast then. Once again, Pierre Gasly in the lead of the Grand Prix, and Verstappen way down the order in what is, I think, P6 or P7 there, and actually Hamilton will try and have a go at him here. Very awkward camera angle, but he has DRS trying to go around the outside there, and so Verstappen has to defend and try and not get overtaken by both Mercedes cars. He does so, actually, as there's yellow flags there. Sebastian Vettel is out of this Grand Prix. He was actually parked up there in the background there. The man just doesn't have any luck. He qualified last place on pure merit and then DNF'd out of the Grand Prix. So pretty torrid times for the Ferrari Works team here, and it really is glory for Alfa Romeo in terms of the top Ferrari powered team here. And so there you go, officially Pierre Gasly then wins the Chinese Grand Prix from Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz on the podium there. So it's been Alonso, Leclerc and Gasly so far, the winners in Season 7. Very weird winners. I really didn't think so. I was expecting Sainz to be strong again, expecting Verstappen to be strong again, but this time it appears to be the teammates, even my teammate. It's the teammate show in Season 7 so far, and so when I come home though, in a pretty strong P4 though, I will still take that very much so.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. So Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
It might not be a crazy good position, P4, but actually, all things considered, where my teammate isn't up with a 2-stop down in P11, I started P13. I think that's a pretty damn good Grand Prix for us, actually. We tried to do the 1-stop the best we could. The 2 Renaults and Gasly just had way too much pace in the end for us, but in the end, still good. Championship-wise now, we're down to P4, Leclerc down to P3. We're actually both level on points, and P1 and P2, Alonso and Gasly, also level on points, because remember, Alonso finished first in Australia and Gasly second. The reverse happened this race. race, and both of them DNF'd in the second round last episode. So 1, 2, and 3, 4 respectively are level on points there. So it's all very, very close to the championship so far with only 3 rounds gone. Constructors-wise, Renault retake the lead in the Constructors. We're actually still ahead of Red Bull though, so that's pretty neat, with Verstappen not pulling his weight in the Red Bull Honda team and Gasly getting all the glory so far. So all in all, can't complain so far, but it is early days to even call a pattern yet. So we'll just continue on and marching on and hope that at Azerbaijan our car can go a little bit better, because it seemed like China, even though we pulled off the one stop, our car didn't feel amazing around China, I can't lie. So I'm still waiting for the car to feel amazing at some circuit. Maybe Baku is the place to be, because in real life the Sauber certainly went well around Baku. So here's hoping, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that it can be the one to feel great. But now as we go to the end of the episode, then we're going to kind of come back a little bit against Leclerc in the driver rivalry there. We're yet to pick a rival yet in this season so far. We will pick one into Azerbaijan there, so don't worry, we'll be able to benchmark ourselves against another driver soon enough. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button, and definitely smash the like button, guys. We were one of those people that was kind of anticipating me eventually getting a maximized car in career mode. There you have it, we've finally done it. We've maxed out a car, naturally speaking, in career mode, so be sure to smash the like button for that. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around, did subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Alfa. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.